Ask yourself the damn question. Is winning the only thing to you?
Sports today are not just played on the field. They're played every day, online, all over the world, by sports fans just like you.
Don't you dare breathe. That won't get you anywhere. If you don't think you're a winner, you don't belong here.
The Star Fantasy League Show puts you in control of your own team. Find out who to sit, who to start, how to play, and have your daily fantasy sports questions answered with your host, Jonathan Sprawn, and co-host Matthew Futter and Nick Steblenko. The Star Fantasy League Show is on the air now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Star Fantasy League Show. I'm your host, Matthew Futter, joined by the man, Nick Steblenko.
I'm the man.
That's it.
I'm the man.
Alo Black said it. You're the man, you're the man, you're the man. That song was about you if you didn't know.
It was?
Yeah.
Wow. Did my name end up in there anywhere? Or?
Probably not, but
Well, if
it's
isn't,
still
then it
about
should
you.
be. All right, good. It's about me.
All right, welcome to the Star Fantasy League Show. First time we've recorded on video in a long
this
time.
is actually exciting.
It is.
This is impressive.
If you've tuned in before, we do have a podcast out there. You can find us on SoundCloud. You can find us on iTunes. But we're going back to the video format.
I think there are probably a lot of people out there questioning us and asking, why the hell are you guys on video? You're so damn ugly. Stay on the radio.
Yeah, my mom says that too. So.
Yeah, well, my mom loves me. She did the best she could. Love you too, Ma. But we're on video.
Yes, we are. And today's kind of
nothing is breaking either. Sorry.
Yeah, so far. Today's kind of a unique day. We're starting without basketball, which is kind of a big sport that we talk about. And
it's great. Are you kidding me? This is amazing. It's freezing outside, and we get to play hockey all day.
Yes, but we are going to start the show with a big basketball event happening tomorrow. That is the NBA trade deadline. What we're going to do today in the first portion of the show is we're going to go through the buyers and sellers of each conference and see most likely destinations for these players.
Now, I got to be honest now. Normally around the trade deadline in the NBA, you don't really see a ton of moves.
No.
And I always wonder why that is. It seems to me that in the NBA, star power can completely swing one team one way or the other. And it really surprises me that more teams aren't more aggressive at the trade deadline. And I mean, you made up a great list here. I think there are a ton of names on here of guys that would be immediate impact players. So I think my philosophy was always win now. Mm-hmm. Don't wait, win, go for it. There's no reason to sit back and say, oh yeah, we'll be good for a few years. You have no idea what the future is going to bring. You have no idea that Paul George is going to break his leg in the summer games and totally change your entire team. Mm-hmm. So why not go after it? That's just my opinion.
I completely agree. All right, let's jump right in. We're going to talk about some of the top names, and then we're going to go break down each team. Nick's going to kind of toss up some teams to me.
Yeah, considering I don't know jack squat about the NBA. No, I'm just kidding.
You know more than you give yourself credit for.
That's true.
You just
right.
have a disdain for the NBA,
I
bad
do.
taste.
I don't like the way that they do things. It's just, ooh, my pinky, it's broken. See you later. And this is my pinky, by the way.
Well, isn't that every pro sports? I mean, you see that in soccer nowadays, too.
No, actually, funny enough, and I'll try to keep this short, but my wife was watching an episode of Grey's Anatomy. I was not watching it. And apparently there was an episode with a guy, a hockey player, who came in with a broken pinky and said, put it back together, I got to go play. And you know the episode. See, you watched it.
I did see that episode.
And he comes back a couple days later or whatever, and it's all bandaged up. And he was like, yep, I played without a finger because he broke it off.
Cut it off.
Yeah, so that's hockey.
Yeah, that's pretty messed up. But,
all right, well, anyways, NBA.
All right. Yeah. All right, so let's start with the top names first. Here are the names that are basically being rumored around right now. We got Brook Lopez from the Brooklyn Nets, who is still in the league, yes. Goran Dragic, inside joke if you've listened before.
Talking to you, Seth. Hey, how's it going, buddy?
Goran Dragic of the Phoenix Suns, David West of the Indiana Pacers, Darren Williams also of the Brooklyn Nets, Joe Johnson of the Brooklyn Nets, Lance Stevenson.
Basically everybody on the Brooklyn Nets.
Basically, we'll get to him later. Lance Stevenson from the Charlotte Hornets, Kenneth Faried, Aaron Afalo, and Ty Lawson, all from the Denver Nuggets, Inez Kanter from the Utah Jazz, and a name that's just been tossed in recently, Reggie Jackson from the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Oh, that one interests me.
Yes.
I'm curious. So a number of Brooklyn Nets on this list. If I understand it correctly, and this is something that you brought to light, is there's a reason behind all of these guys being up for sale, right? We might not see Mikhail Prokhorov much longer.
No, he's been rumored for a while that he wants to unload his portion of the team. Obviously, he's not the majority owner, but he's been talking about how he wants to change up the ownership there, because he's not really interested in what this team has to offer anymore. They went for it the last couple of years by signing these big name guys, and they just haven't
way
panned
past
out.
their prime too.
Yeah, and signing guys that necessarily weren't all-stars who they thought they were, Darren Williams and guys who, and Brook Lopez has had the injury issue, so it's just
in true Playboy fashion, right? I mean, he sweeps in and sweeps right out of the league. How many years has he been around now?
I want to say less than 5.
That's a pretty brutal way to go.
I would say the over-under is 4.5.
The thing that I find interesting is that apparently it's based on the fact that he might not have as much money as he once thought he did.
Oh,
based
surprised?
Based on the Russian
I'm
economy?
not.
I don't know. So there are a couple of guys I definitely see making an impact somewhere. If it's Darren Williams, this is probably about 8 years ago, Darren Williams.
Yeah.
But what about Brook Lopez? Because, he does come with injury issues, but when he's on the court, he's a pretty big player.
Yeah, I think Brook has a good shot to land with a team that needs that big man presence. The one team that's being rumored to him, which they had a trade option or a trade set up a few months ago, was the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good one.
And it didn't obviously go through. Recently, the Thunder, before the All-Star break, lost Steven Adams for about 2 to 3 weeks. So they could shore up their big man status, essentially.
So basically, help themselves out with injury problems by adding an injury problem. Sounds like a recipe for success.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see who else we got on this list. Oh, some of the more buyers, I think, in the Eastern Conference are really intriguing, honestly.
Okay, and do you see any of these guys landing on a buyer's team?
Well,
per se?
Man, I'm looking at it. I think the teams that are being rumored, Cleveland Cavaliers, but they've already made enough moves where I don't think they're going to really make much of a splash.
Yeah,
anymore.
but they're going after it. That's the point. They're going after it. I mean, but
they've been playing really well since they made those moves.
Have.
So do they really want to mess up more of the chemistry at this point?
But at the same time, what is the chemistry? We all know what the chemistry is. It's LeBron James. He's going to lead the way, and then Kyrie Irving, who's playing out of his mind this year. He really is. He's playing a great year. Those guys are going to be the leaders. Kevin Love is definitely a factor, although I guess he's not as big of a factor as people were kind of planning on him being.
Yeah.
But even still, having role players, getting J.R. Smith. J.R. Smith is the quintessential six-man hot shooter that team needs. And it just turned out that he was available because the Knicks tanked.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they can add...
We've known the Knicks have been bad for a few years.
But if they can add another guy like that, if they can add Joe Johnson, let's say, and I'm not sure about the contracts and how that would shake out.
We don't care about that on this show. This is all hypothetical because we talk fantasy sports on here, so we're going to make up fantasy contracts if we want to.
Now all of a sudden you have a guy that could play out off the bench and sub in for Kyrie Irving every now and then. He could sub in and be the second man. He could be, I don't know. It just brings in another interesting player. That's all I'm saying.
And that's scary for me for our dress bet. But
yes.
check back to one of the previous episodes to hear about that. Another team that's being rumored to make some more moves is the Chicago Bulls. They actually haven't made any moves up to this point.
I wouldn't be surprised if they don't either.
Well, actually, they've been saying they want another shooter on their team.
That's probably a good thing to add.
They've been very injury prone of recently. Dunleavy's missed a bunch of time. Jimmy Butler was injured right before the All-Star break. So they need someone else who can kind of hit those shots from the outside. So I think a guy like I don't think they'll pick up like a guy like Lance Stevenson or someone like that. I think the contracts would be too big and the commitment might be too much. But maybe a guy like Reggie Jackson might be an option.
Yeah, I mean Reggie Jackson has shown that he can carry the load too. And it's kind of tough to be on a team where Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant are the focus if you want to be a guard. So yeah, I could see that being a possibility for sure.
They're one of the dark horses for me to make a move. I honestly don't think they'll do really
Chicago,
much.
to me, Chicago just kind of stays put. They put together their formula and they ride it out. And that's one of the things that Tom Thibodeau does so well is he does as much as he can with the pieces that he's given.
Yeah.
And he sticks to the stays the course. I think that they should be fine. This is a team that just needs to work through their problems. I don't think that they're a team where if they screwed with the chemistry, I feel like it would all fall apart. It has to be Derrick Rose, Pau Gasol, Jimmy Butler, who's been an integral piece on this team. It has to be those guys. Those guys have already come together. Now it's just a matter of them figuring it out and moving forward. I don't know that they should be buying.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously, if you're going to buy, you got to get from get players from some team.
From somewhere, yes.
So the sellers in the Eastern Conference, these are some pretty intriguing names, I feel.
Yeah, well, I mean, we already went over Brooklyn. I'm interested about Indiana because once Paul George comes back, isn't this a team again?
That's what the thought is. David West is one of the older players who's being rumored to be shopped at this point.
At this point, it sounds about right.
He is their leading scorer for obvious reasons when no Paul George there. But they're fighting for that last playoff spot. So I don't think, honestly, they're going to make the move. People have been saying that, so-called critics, everything that's out there that's crap, essentially.
Now, they're a team. They are a team where selling at the deadline, even though they are fighting for that last playoff spot, it makes sense.
Yeah.
It does. They're not winning anything.
It's true.
They are not going to. They would need to add a LeBron James if they were going to win. That's what happens when Paul George goes out.
Yep, I completely agree.
As far as anybody else, I mean, the Knicks, I love this, what you put on here. Is there anyone left to sell?
It just broke that Carmelo Anthony is going to be shut down for the rest of the season. So, honestly,
thank you.
Amari got bought out the other day. He's ended up with the Dallas Mavericks. So, I honestly don't think that anyone's going to, else is going to be moved on their team because they said Jose Calderon and, Andre Bargnani, but these guys, no one wants them.
Yeah.
They're trash.
No, you're right. Exactly.
They're worse than trash,
but
unfortunately. They're New York trash.
Yeah, they really are, right? No, but that's why Phil Jackson brought them on, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't it? He really took them on to have a bad team, to rebuild. Now, I actually heard a really interesting take on the New York Knicks earlier, is that they might be bad for the next decade.
Yeah,
they really could be buried for the next decade. The biggest thing, I think, is Carmelo Anthony. Have you done anything for your teams that you played for yet? What have you done?
He played 30 minutes in the All-Star game.
Yeah,
though.
good for you, though, man. Really, excellent. And then you shut down?
Yeah,
really?
definitely.
That's the kind of player he is.
Yeah.
He brought a national championship to Syracuse, so we love him in Western New York for that. But for the NBA, he's been awful. He hasn't done anything good for anybody.
For
so
sure.
I think this team is kind of they're stuck.
All right. Before the break, we're going to talk quickly about the Western Conference. I kind of touched on some teams already. How about I give you the team that I think is most likely going to be buying it?
All right.
I think it's going to be the Portland Trailblazers because they haven't made any moves up to this point, and they definitely need to upgrade their big man. Could we see a brother connection out there? Could Brook Lopez go play with his brother out there?
Maybe.
It's a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, but at the same time, I mean, this is a team that's right on the edge, aren't they?
Yeah.
They are right there. I mean, LaMarcus Aldridge has been a stud the past couple of seasons.
Yeah. Sellers, I think it's got to be the Nuggets. They have 3 guys who are basically up for sale. All of them that are, could be great additions. Your boy, T.Y. Lawson, man.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, I would say he's probably more likely to go than Kenneth Faried. Faried, to me, he's the manimal, right? I mean, he's a guy that I think is a really important piece.
He played fantastic in the past Olympics and in the World Games and stuff. So I think all on play for sure.
Definitely.
Coming out of the break, it's time to jump into Nick's favorite subject, Daily NHL.
Come on.
And you're watching the Star Fantasy League Show.
The Star Fantasy League Show. Information is key to being a successful fantasy team owner, and the guys have all the updated info you need right now.
We are back on the Star Fantasy League Show. I am your host, Matthew Futter, joined by Nick Steblenko.
How's it going, dude?
It's going great. This is great.
You seem very excited, and I'm very excited.
I'm so happy that we're finally on video format as well as audio format. Obviously, you can find us if you're watching this right now on YouTube. You can find us on our Facebook page at Star Fantasy or at SF Leagues on Twitter. You can tweet us. You can see our Twitter names right below us right now at SFL Nick, at SFL Matt. There's so many ways to communicate with us. Send us questions, anything. You want to hit on our, make fun of us, hit on our wives, our girlfriends?
You can make fun of our, you want to hit on our wives or girlfriends? Is that what I heard?
They can do whatever they want.
No, I'm not down with that. I'll find you.
I'm just kidding.
I was going to say you can make fun of our shirts. We kind of have a little Republican Democrat thing going on today. I don't know if that's.
I think that was.
Or you can just make fun of how ugly we are. I don't really care.
Oh, most people can do that. Definitely.
Yeah, you could try.
That was a tough face right there. All right, let's jump in the games. We got 6 games on the schedule tonight. Give a quick breakdown, Nick, on what do you do with a slate like this. It's not really a big slate, but it's not a small slate.
No, this is one of my favorites. I love this. If you have anywhere from I love 6 or 7 games. Those are always my favorite. Mm-hmm. If you have that, I think you have a lot to work with, and you have enough variation where you don't have to worry about how many guys or how much a player is going to be owned on any given night. Mm-hmm. So, it really to me this is perfect. This is perfect. I love this. I think this is going to be a great night.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Is that the word we're going for?
Perfect.
Perfect.
We will be perfect.
All right. Oh, whoa. Well, that's a bold statement right there, folks.
You heard
we
it
will
here.
be perfect. All right. First game on the slate tonight, we got the Montreal Canadiens at -140 at Ottawa +120. The starting goaltenders are going to be Dustin Tokarski versus
Andrew Hammond.
Andrew Hammond. Yes.
So I
Who?
wrote I wrote a little piece on this earlier, but do you remember the first time you had
And
to
where
do
could they
something-
find that piece at?
At our blog. On our blog,
blog.starfantasyleagues.com.
yes. So do you remember the first time that you did something really important, maybe when you were younger? Maybe like you were – let's say you had a penalty shot or something like that, and it was a big penalty shot, and you had to score or else your team lost, whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe you were getting on stage in front of a bunch of people, something like that. Well, that's Andrew Hammond tonight. His is his first NHL start, and he's been pretty bad in the AHL.
Yeah.
He has a save percentage under 90, and he has a goals against average of over 3.5. So
Wow.
I think it's safe to say that he's going to have some trembling in the knees tonight. Montreal, I'm all over Montreal tonight. I cannot believe that they are -140. I think it should be more like -240.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think the main play and really the top play of the night is going to be Max Pacioretty. He's fantastic for Montreal. He's their sniper. He's their sharpshooter. He's the guy that they lean on to get the goals. So you have to find a way to get him in tonight. He's a little over 15,000. So I don't think you should worry too much about the price. I think he's going to have a pretty solid evening.
Yeah, I think he has 22 goals in the season?
Yeah, he's having a fantastic year. The thing that
Future captain, I think, of that team, by the way.
Yeah.
Side note, but.
Well, yes. I mean, he's done everything. I mean, the second line for Montreal is one of my favorites, really, right now in the NHL. Thomas Plekanec is great, so he's also worth a look. He's around 12,000. And then Brendan Gallagher and Alex Galchenyuk, both of them have been playing really well. Those are two guys that the Canadians need to play really well. They're high draft picks. They've been doing well. They're in the top 6. They need to convert every night, though.
I think also in play is both of the top 2 defensemen. Ottawa's one of the worst against opposing defensemen. So PK Subban or Andrei Markov both man the point on the number 1 power play. I think are both a good options. I think they're only about $1,000
Yeah,
difference.
couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, PK Subban plays such an offensive-minded game. He can
Although
score.
he looked terrible the other night. Did you see when he fell down?
Yes, I did.
That was ugly.
Yeah, well, but I mean, tonight should be a great night. I think you go heavy on Montreal. Don't really worry too much about Ottawa, but I mean, you may be able to pick a couple of guys. Mike Hoffman and Mark Stone have been doing really well for Ottawa. They're great. They're 2 rookies. So this team has some promise in the future, but tonight definitely not. Dustin Tokarski, I'm kind of burned from the last time we used him.
Yeah, we used him a couple weeks ago. We're all about him. Against Edmonton, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think you need to throw it out because I think that was kind of a fluke. But I'm trigger shy. I'm gun shy.
Fair enough. All right, second game on the slate, rivalry night, according to NBC Sports Network.
I love it.
Detroit +155 at the Chicago Blackhawks -175. It looks like Jimmy Howard is slated but not confirmed yet, going up against Corey Crawford, who is confirmed. So
yeah, I like Chicago a lot in this one.
I do too.
I'm not surprised that the line is the way it is. Detroit has been having a tough time recently. They got shut out by the Montreal Canadiens just a couple of nights ago, and they've had a couple of losses in their past few games. I mean, Chicago is one of those teams that they match up well against the big boys. And Detroit, they just don't right now. That without Johan Franzen in the lineup, they don't have a lot of size. I know that they lean on Justin Abdelkader and Stephen Weiss to kind of bring that to the table.
Yeah.
But they just don't have that right now. And I don't know that you can trust anybody on Detroit tonight. From a Chicago side, they match up in the big games.
They do.
They just do. Patrick Kane, Jonathan Toews, these guys, it's like they were born for this.
Keith, all those guys.
All of them. They were like born for this. This is what they were made for. So I think that they're all worth consideration tonight. It's just a matter of how you fit them in. Like I said, I love Max Pacioretty tonight. So if you don't like him or if you like Patrick Kane more, swap them out. They're around the same price. But I think it all starts. For me, it always starts with Jonathan Toews.
Yep.
I think he's a great value at his price. I would look to get him in there.
Definitely. All right, let's move on. Minnesota Wild, -115 at the Calgary Flames, -105. Looks like possibly Devin Dubnyk will be starting versus Jonas Hiller, who is confirmed.
I mean, the legend of Devin Dubnyk
Yes,
it's just
growing.
It's unbelievable.
It's growing faster than the show, which is not great,
No,
but
it's okay. Hey, all three of you out there, we love you.
we do.
But
Thanks,
no,
Mom.
I mean, if he's playing, you can't trust anybody on the other team.
No.
He's on fire. The guy's just rocketing through this entire season ever since he switched over to Minnesota. It's been
How
unbelievable.
pissed off would you be if you're at all three of the Arizona,
Edmonton, and where was the other one? I can't even remember.
Doesn't
but
matter.
He
They're pissed
literally
off,
just
too.
I would be pissed off. I would be extremely pissed off. But maybe he was pissed off.
Yeah.
And that's why he's doing so well. As far as the offense goes, Zach Parise is worth consideration on any night, I think. But it kind of tough to put him in tonight. I think Calgary's been playing pretty well.
Yeah.
I thought Calgary's your team. I thought you were ready to pounce on that.
They're not necessarily my team, but just because I had a love for Yori Ortio and Johnny Hockey, and I like Sean Monahan too. I guess they would be my Western Conference team, but
I think this is going to be a 2-1 game.
Yeah, I do too.
really do. So I mean, this is kind of tough to pick on.
Hiller's phenomenal this year. He's been
doing
playing
well, yeah.
really
He has.
well for as bad as he was and as bad as the situation that he came from in Anaheim. He's really picked it up.
Yeah, he really has. I just don't know. At the price, I don't know that there's a lot of value in this one.
No, I don't think so either. All right, moving on. We got the Los Angeles Kings at minus 145 at the Colorado Avalanche plus 125. Possibly Jonathan Quick is slated to start. Not confirmed yet. He should against Semyon Varlamov.
Yeah, I don't look now. Here come the Kings. Okay?
Of course.
It's
We've been making fun of them for the past month about how terrible they've been, but you've been saying, wait.
You can't.
Just
you have to
wait.
You have to wait because recently they figure out a way to put it all together come February and March, and then they make a run. So this is where they begin right here. I believe that Quick has won his last 5 starts. You can't argue with that. They're scoring. Now they're scoring.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler Toffoli, Jeff Carter, those guys have been doing a fantastic job. I think both of them are worth consideration tonight. For value, they have a couple of guys out there, but namely Dwight King. Dwight King is playing on that line with Toffoli and Carter, and this line's been doing really well. I mean, their price is slowly rising because they're producing, but I think they're worth it every night. And Los Angeles, when they put it all together, they figure out a way to be a great team. And it just always happens to be around the freaking playoffs.
Yeah. I have a value guy for you on the LA Kings that you might see in my lineup if you were to use it later. That's Nick Shore. He's fourth line center, but he's playing the second power play. He's coming off a 3.5-point fantasy night. He hasn't played many games this year, but he's only around 4,400.
Yeah, that's
if I'm looking,
solid.
I went solid in the other areas. I went really high in defensemen tonight, so I'm like, you know what? I'll bite the bullet there and take a shot. I think that's what you have to do.
And if you do that, you might be able to get in a couple of the top dollar guys. I mean, you're going to have to.
He gets you 1 point. It's worth its value right there.
Yeah, I would hope for more, but yes.
Yeah, you would hope. You would hope for sure. All right, moving on. We got the Boston Bruins taking on the Edmonton Oilers. Boston's minus 185. Edmonton's 165. I'm really surprised this one's not like 285 for Boston.
You know why it's not, though? Because Boston hasn't been that good lately.
They really haven't.
They really have not. Now, I wouldn't worry about that. Edmonton is that bad.
Yeah.
So it depends on who is in goal. Ben Scrivens brings a little bit more to the table.
Yep.
But if this is his first start coming off of an injury, that's a tough draw right there. So, I mean, Boston is definitely in the mix here. Louis Eriksson in particular, they moved him up to the second line, and that's great. Patrice Bergeron has been driving this team. He has literally put this team on his back this year, and he's been taking them forward to the playoffs. So I think that he's always worth a consideration. But Louis Eriksson, pretty solid value.
Louis Eriksson's a very interesting name. We'll be getting into the NHL trade deadline in a couple of weeks when that happens. He's a name that's being shopped around right now because of his high his trade value and his contract. And
he's been on the third line all year, and he's been producing, and I don't know why
I was
they
up to
haven't
the second,
moved him
I
up.
believe. I think they moved him up.
Now, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They just moved him up to the second line, but he's been playing with Carl Soderberg, and this line has been okay. So I'm not really sure why they haven't shaken
Soderberg's
things up
another
a little
name
bit.
possibly. That could be
They
moved
should be
as well.
putting those two guys up in the top 6 and shopping around guys like Brad Marchand, who, in my opinion,
little rat.
Yeah, he's a little rat, and he should be shopped around. I don't know.
If they'll find out that I'm a Sabres fan, I cannot stand that guy.
He's not fun to be around.
No, not at all. All right. Anybody from the Edmonton Oilers?
How
can you say that with a straight face right there?
Yeah, this team is they're brutal. But one guy that's been impressive lately, and I can't believe that this is actually happening, is Nail Yakupov.
Yeah.
He's on a 5-game point streak. He has 2 goals and 3 assists in the last 5 games.
Now.
Yeah, Nail. But at the same time, you can't trust him.
No.
We can't trust any of them. So No, I'm good. I'm all set. And not to mention that Boston loves to play a physical style of hockey. That doesn't suit Edmonton at all.
Not at all. The last game of the night is probably the best hockey game of the night.
The heavyweight bout.
Tampa Bay Lightning at plus 105 taking on the Anaheim Ducks at plus 125, I would assume.
Minus 125?
Excuse me, minus 125. Goalie's undetermined. Most likely Ben Bishop versus John Gibson.
Yeah, this is a tough one to call because Tampa Bay and Anaheim, they played about 10 days ago, and it was a win for Tampa Bay, but it was in Tampa Bay. Anaheim hasn't been good recently.
No.
They've been on a bit of a slide.
They were just blown out by Florida.
Yeah, but that happened before. I don't know.
It's true.
I kind of like Anaheim, but I'm kind of, again, this is another one where I'm gun-shy on it. If this team is going to win this game, it's going to start with Ryan Getzlaf and Corey Perry. So I think if you really want to go for Getzlaf, that's okay, but it's not. The roller coaster has been on the downswing, so this is kind of a tough one. I'm gun-shy. I'm very gun-shy today. I don't understand.
So who are you going to pick? You've been saying you're very gun-shy. I'm staying away from this game. You're doing this game.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I guess I'm just going to
Well, guess what? They can figure it out once they come back from the break.
Sounds good.
You better produce a winning lineup.
All right, I'll put something together real quick.
All right.
Just for you.
Coming out of the break, Nick gives you his winning lineup on the Star Fantasy League Show.
Now, let's get back to it. The Star Fantasy League Show. Feel free to tweet the show at SF Leagues.
Welcome back to the Star Fantasy League Show. And yes, you can tweet us at SF Leagues. You can tweet Nick at SFL Nick. And coincidentally, you could tweet me at SFL Matt. How funny does that work out?
Yeah, I mean, whoever put some thought into those names was really getting creative.
Oh, yeah. All right. Let's jump right in, Nick. Big night of NHL. We got NBA returning Friday, so I'll be able to put some lineups in. But tonight, it's all about the hockey.
It is, yeah.
And I know you love that. You've loved this whole week with the break.
Like I said, this is a great night. 6 games gives you a lot of variation. You have a lot of different options, but it doesn't go so big that you don't know what to do, that you're kind of jumbling things around. So this is kind of a good night. I think we'll be able to put together a pretty solid setup for this one.
All right, let's go through position by position. We got a couple minutes here. Give us some reasons why you picked each of these guys, starting with your left wing position.
All right. Well, the 2 left wingers I have are Max Pacioretty and Dwight King.
Okay.
I already told you, Max Pacioretty is my guy tonight. He has the potential to get a hat trick, I think. Playing Ottawa and playing a guy that's he's an AHL goalie. That's all there is to it. He is a minor league goalie, and he's not a good one at that.
No.
If the thing of it is that if Hammond's save percentage was a little bit higher, if it was like a 905 or a 910 or something like that, that would just mean that he's getting shelled and his team isn't doing anything in front of him. But no, he has like an 880 or an 890 or something like that. That means that he's not doing his job. And when you translate that into the NHL level, it's just not going to happen. So
yes.
Max Pacioretty, I love him tonight. He's coming in over 15,000, but top play of the night. Dwight King is on that second line, like I said, for LA, and they've been rolling lately. So he's at 6,000 minimum. He's a great value. I think you have to play him tonight.
Okay. Right wing position.
Right wings, I have 2 guys from Boston. I have Louis Eriksson and Riley Smith.
I like the Riley Smith pick.
Riley Smith is on the top line with David Krejci, and Louis Eriksson, is on the second line with Patrice Bergeron. Both of those guys are coming in at 8,500, 8,000, respectively. So I think they're good value, and I like the value guys against Edmonton tonight. I don't want to put all my eggs in that basket. Boston hasn't been that great.
No, they've struggled. They're not looking like the team that we've known them in the past to be, essentially.
Absolutely.
All right, center position. Who you got?
I'm going to start with Jonathan Toews. I love Jonathan Toews and what he brings to the sport and what he does for Chicago. He's a great all-around athlete. The guy can really do anything on any given night, and he's made for the big games.
That's true.
He does a great job in the big games. So going up against Detroit tonight, a reeling Detroit team at that.
One of the most clutch performers I've seen in a long time.
And then the other one is actually Trevor Lewis for L.A. He's on the top line. And like I said, L.A. is solid right now. They're playing at Colorado, but I don't know. The Avs are just a roller coaster ride, too. They can go down any night. So I'm going to take the value in L.A. I'm going to take Trevor Lewis and Dwight King. I think both of those guys could produce.
Has their overall scoring improved at all over the past 20 games? Because that was something that we harped on earlier in the season, how this team was one of the highest scoring teams last year, was a playoff team, won their division if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And they started the season as one of the worst teams. Nathan McKinnon was not doing anything.
I mean, the past couple of games they've been able to score. They've had 9 goals in the past 2 games. That's more like what we're used to seeing.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if they fall off tonight. Los Angeles is hot.
Fair enough. The defensive position, who you got?
PK Subban. I told you I love PK Subban tonight. He's at 10,700, and he's really an amazing part of the power play in Montreal. It's really a joy watching him, really. And if I say really one more time, you have permission to smack me. But
what word?
Really? Damn it. The other one is
terrible.
The other one is Hampus Lindholm. He is on the first power play for Anaheim, and I do kind of like Anaheim tonight, kind of.
Kind of.
All right. Let's round it out. We'll finish it up. My goalie's Corey Crawford. I think Chicago is going to win against Detroit tonight. They're at home. I think they're good to go. And then the flex position, I'm going to go with Dale Weiss. I love Montreal.
You love Dale Weiss.
I do, yeah. And he's playing with Max Pacioretty. I love Montreal at Ottawa tonight. Sorry, Andrew Hammond. Just don't wet yourself. That's all I have to say. Just get out there. You'll be okay, buddy. Go ahead.
Words of encouragement from Nick Steblenko. Wow, can't even talk. For Andrew Hammond tonight. And you can put this lineup in at starfantasyleagues.com and win some real money. So good luck. And thanks for tuning in to the Star Fantasy League Show.
Hey, look, it's our faces.